is Tampa Home Talk, and I'm your host, Katrina Madewell, and we have a full house today. It's been a minute since we have had a house this full, but joined by my favorite let's get it out this morning.
Use your words.
Woo! My favorite
English.
two sidekicks.
Favorite too. Last week I was just the favorite.
Oh, you're still my favorite.
Well, you hadn't been out of your cave for a couple months.
It was a couch fort. Thank you very much.
A couch fort.
So, Mr. Leo Kane with Beryl Engineering and Inspections.
And inspections. Don't forget about that part.
Mr. Adam Talley having fun with insurance.
Tally Insurance. Yeah, we're breathing.
We're going to talk about that a little bit.
We're like barely above water. We're trying to do it, but we'll see.
To round out the hour, Miss Danielle Evans with Gateway Appraisals. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have some fun with you this morning.
I know. We always do.
Mr. Tom Brubaker.
Hello.
Welcome back. And so we're going to talk a little bit about this real estate market here, and maybe have a few little quizzes to a couple of my counterparts.
Okay.
And we're going to talk insurance. So
Well, the real estate market's very stable compared to the insurance market.
yeah, you got that right.
That's for sure.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the market snapshot this morning, like we start every Friday off. We'll see how that stacks up compared to last week. And then we'll chat a little bit about some of the stuff we're seeing in the market. Like the Fed rate hike of 75 basis points this week.
Oh, it actually happened.
It happened. It's
It
going to
happened.
affect a few things. That's why we're mentioning it on the air. I just assume everybody knows, and then I realize they don't actually know.
I don't follow the news.
I probably need to. Well, I follow that. Right?
And I am the news, so it's kind of weird.
You are the news.
You're not supposed to follow yourself.
So what are the rates now on a 30-year fixed?
Like with anything, you can't just say, oh, this is the rate, because it depends, right? How much are you putting down? How much is the, what's the buyer's credit score like? There's so many factors that go into that it's hard to tell.
Well, why don't we, when I'm asked this question in the engineering world, rather than give an "it depends" answer, I just assume this is the typical average house. So let's just say we've got a 3.2, 715 square foot, $350,000 house, and you put 20% down. What is your average rate?
6% has to be.
Tell me that one more time. I was writing and reading.
We're going to do we're going to take this from the typical. We've got a 3.2, $350,000 house.
Okay.
You put 20% down.
Okay.
You are Fannie Mae.
What's your credit score?
And your credit score is,
720.
We'll say your credit score is 720.
Well, you know what? I can bring Sarah in and we can tell you exactly what
So
it
she
is.
still can't give a number.
I'm going to guess, and I'll be close. I'll be within probably 0.25%. Before the rate hikes, they were right around 6. Maybe a little under, maybe high 5s.
Now we're
I think
to 6.5.
you're probably going to knock into mid 6s, knocking on 7.
Okay, now let's flip it. Let's just say it's the same purchase, but I'm a scumbag when it comes to credit, and my credit score is around 615.
You're not getting a loan.
Not getting a loan.
650.
Maybe. 640 is the magic number.
640.
640. Okay, so
640 is the magic number.
let's say I'm at 640.
What's going to happen is they have to run it through AUS, which is the automated underwriting system. And it's interesting. And Sarah can tell you this, and my background knows this kind of weird stuff. We were talking about it at our team meeting this week. But basically, they take it, so that 640 guy you're talking about, we plug it into AUS, which is the automated underwriting system. And basically, that's going to give you either what they say refer or accept. And sometimes it goes through LP, but not DU, which is Freddie's system versus Fannie.
I was just looking for a number.
Yeah, there's not.
6.5%. I think
It's
that's
not
the
that
answer
simple.
to the question.
Well, no, I gave a very specific example.
I mean, I see a lot of sales contracts.
And they every day
We're not
it
seeing
changes.
anything under 6.
So
Nothing.
So basically now at this point, I think it would be very wise for us to have a credit repair person on the show if you're telling me you can't get a house with under a 640.
You cannot. Yeah.
There's no buy here, pay here lots for houses?
No stated income.
We'll have Dave Schramm back. I think he's on the other side of the.
How does your credit work if you're going into one of those like rent to own situations?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Let's talk about that.
That's the buy here,
because-
pay here type thing.
Well, literally, one of these home buyer companies that's in the market starts with a D. I refuse to say their name because I'm not going to give them a second of advertising.
D?
But anyway, it was a good concept, right? Program in theory. We had put a couple of our clients in to do that because it cost them a little bit, but it works. Literally stole the client. So we're like, yeah, we're done. So yeah, I'm actually talking to some of my investors that we work with if they're open to doing the lease option, lease purchase. And they are. So
There's
they're
a lot of
looking for
people,
opportunity.
and there's a lot of people that are on properties that could be an Airbnb, and
Yeah.
they don't want to sell to people like that, so they're selling to primary residents
Right.
in a lease option to buy type of situation.
Yep. So, well, let's talk about the numbers real quick. Let's look at how this stacks up to last week compared to this week, and then we'll chat about some of these other nuances that we're seeing in the market. We'll give you an answer on your rate, Leo. I'll see if there's a rate sheet out this morning for you. But basically, the number of new properties on the market, we're coming in at 1033 this week compared to 1109 last week. So, little tick smidge down. Our solds are coming in at 810. That's lower than the 846 that we saw last week for our 7-day trends. And the pendings, for the first time in a minute, have dropped in the low 900s. So we're at 906.
So we're definitely still seeing that shift we talked about.
Yeah.
We're definitely seeing more new listings now than pendings and sold.
Still, yeah. And then
Yeah.
the price decreases for the ones that are on the market. I had to
im-
highlight
price,
that, Norm.
price improvements.
Well, that means
That's
the
right.
Fed's interest rate
1,500 price
hike is working
improvements.
because the whole point of
Yeah.
raising interest rates is to dwindle the amount of supply of money.
Slow the train down.
But what's happening to new construction with the rate hike? Has anybody reported on that
Oh,
yet?
I can tell you what we're seeing first.
We're seeing the contracts just disappear.
Well, we saw basically, some of these builders that are not worth mentioning by name.
Yeah.
Really make a bad move in the last market and reduce some of the comp to like 1%. And basically, that is causing an issue because people like me that have sold your homes for a long time, guess what's going to happen when you need us?
Yeah.
Right? Tom, you've been doing this a long time. Not wrong. There's some builders in the market that never recovered from that, and I think there'll be a few more in the future.
So-
Well, we're seeing the
there's
rate increase
incentives.
is causing $400 to $700 an increase in mortgage payment a month, and we're seeing new construction contracts just gone. Keep my deposit. We're walking away
So-
because they can't close that loan for 18 months, and they have no idea how high this rate's going to go.
Yeah.
So we're seeing people that haven't broke ground yet just walk away
The
and go
builders
buy
are-
existing.
The builders are offering bonuses now to agents,
Yes.
I understand.
Yes.
But they did the same thing in 2008.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, then we're going to see more of that, especially these ones that are ready, that they're sitting on. They're going to unload that sucker like a hot potato.
So
salad.
basically,
Absolutely.
if you're sitting on cash right now, you pretty
Sit.
much have control.
Wait, you will soon.
You will.
So that brings me to the next point. You asked about this last week. I actually did the math last night, and I'm right on the money. Where's our absorption rate, Danielle? Do you know? Take a guess.
Can I take a
Is
guess?
it straight,
No, her
straight
first.
even? Like, I don't know.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah,
Take a guess. What do you think it is?
I have no idea.
Come on, just guess.
I mean, you got to understand, I cover such a large
And,
area.
and,
I wanna guess,
I
I wanna
know
guess.
that you don't look at the data the way we do. It's
I
different.
don't.
But I just still want your guess. Come on.
Like, because we look at it as stable, increasing, decreasing.
That's
like
not
the,
an
It's like I'm not
answer.
gonna do
That's
it.
not
yeah,
an answer,
it's like
Danielle.
for
Pick
us,
something.
we're just seeing straight flat line.
I just saw
All right.
something.
Wait, hold on, Tom. You can't answer yet. What's your guess?
2.5% or 2.5 months. 2.5 months.
What's your guess, Leo?
I'd say under 30 days.
What's your guess?
I mean, we were at 3 weeks. The rates just went up. I'm looking at these numbers. So we're probably at 5 weeks.
I just heard 9 months.
No, it's all wrong.
It's all
I
right.
did the data, I did the math, and of course that's a little different from one county to the next. But unanimously in Tampa Bay, we're around 1.5 months. Of
1.5 months?
1.5 months is our absorption rate. We were all the way down to 2 weeks.
Do I call her out on me not being way off because the difference between
Yeah.
5 weeks and a
5
month
weeks
and a
and a
half
month and a
No,
half.
is
you're
the
very
same?
close.
I mean,
the closest.
I mean,
Now
if
we're
playing
still
Price is
seeing
Right
in
rules,
like
you
in
won.
hot
Thank
market.
you.
Don't you remember we talked about this? You asked me this about 2 weeks ago.
I always wanted to spin that big wheel, Adam.
But
You
me
said,
too.
what's the absorption
Me too.
rate?
Big fan. I watched
And
it a lot in college.
I said basically it's basically 1.5. That's where I thought it was. I said, but I'll look at the numbers and verify it.
so that's still
It's
a
in
that's
fact
still a
1.5.
that's still a seller's market, right?
Yep.
It's
The
shifting, though. I mean,
data-
we've gone from 2 weeks to 5 weeks.
Right, and the data from Florida Realtors, that's a month
I
behind.
mean, those numbers don't support what we're seeing in the past month of this new listings being higher than pendings.
Yep. All right, this is Tampa Home Talk. We're going to talk about a whole bunch more stuff in the housing market, as well as some stuff going on in the insurance market. Pretty important. We're talking about right now. And if you got questions about any of this stuff, you're interested in some of those investor purchases like we talked about, you're interested in making some money, you're interested in doing lease option, lease purchase, or you need to sell before this market shifts a little bit more the other way, it's a good idea to call or text us at 813-377-2775. And that's our author number, and it's 813-377-2775. One more time before we hit the break, 813-377-2775. This is Tampa Home Talk. We'll be right back. Stick around.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane with Beryl Engineering and Inspection. Just shifting around the studios. If you're watching on the YouTubes, make sure you smash the like and subscribe button. This is an awesome time of the year. We are entering season 9 of Tampa Home Talk.
Season 9.
Season 9 of Tampa Home Talk on the YouTube.
This is usually when things get weird in television series. So,
Well, which one of us is going to introduce a baby or a dog?
Not me on either. How's that?
maybe
You.
maybe a new dog. I love dogs.
I'm having a grandbaby.
Hey, there we go. We're introducing a baby.
I'm voting Adam.
So
Okay.
season
There we
9
go.
of Tampa Home Talk. We're going to have a new baby through Danielle on the show.
And you never know, I might get proposed to.
Maybe that'd be
Oh.
exciting.
Could be on the horizon.
Wow. Now
She's calling her shot, folks.
we now switch to Dish.
When do we turn this into as Tampa Home Talk turns? All right. So let's talk about this insurance stuff because we got some big stuff on the horizon, right?
Insurance is getting easier to talk about because there used to be 37 carriers in the state, and now there's what, 2?
3.
I was going to say 3.
There's more than 3.
Under 5.
So what happened is last Friday.
Back up. Let's talk about how we got here.
That's where we're getting. Well, how we got here is a long conversation, but let's start with last Friday.
Well, the condensed version is attorneys.
Is it a Good
suing-
Friday, a Bad Friday, a Black Friday? What kind of
Well,
Friday
the
are we dealing
condensed
with?
version,
The
insurance.
condensed version is
They're-
that
attorneys are suing insurance companies to pay for roofs.
exactly.
And insolvent.
not-
That's
that.
not necessarily the case, but here's the thing: there's been the claims have outpaced the amount of premium that they're taking in. Let's just call it what it is, right?
And let's also say it's not the attorney's fault. I'm going to blame climate change and the fact that people still will not go with my white roof agenda. Everyone in the state of Florida should have a white metal roof.
I also think that what we're seeing is people are using the insurance to replace their whatever is wrong. And in the past, you might have just replaced it yourself, or it might have gone 20 years. You see a little leak, you've replaced it, or you've patched it, or you've done whatever. And now everything's a full replacement. There's no patching. There's no nothing, which might have happened in the past. But either way, it's an economics problem, not taking in enough premium to pay for the claims. So what happened last Friday was Demotech came out, and they're basically the main rating company in the state of Florida because to be rated with some of the others, you have to be in multiple states, you have to have a certain amount of premium, and most of the carriers in our state don't qualify for AM Best or something like that. AM Best would rate companies like Nationwide or Progressive and things like that.
Oh, the companies you got me with.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, you're not going anywhere.
So
Anyways.
they're losing their A rating.
Some of them, so Demotech came out and said that they are going to downgrade, and usually downgrade is 1 foot in the grave of, not
One
being
under.
insolvent or not being solvent. They came out and said they were going to downgrade 17 different carriers. And that was Friday. And then Tuesday, we got a notice that they are going to delay the downgrade. And then it was, I believe it was either yesterday or Wednesday, the state came out with which I think is a really good idea because let's face it, if they leave those other carriers, most of them are going to go to Citizens anyways. But where Citizens will basically serve as a reinsurance to these other carriers.
So an intermediary, basically.
Correct. Well, and
So-
what it is basically to satisfy Freddie and Fannie, because if you have a B-rated carrier, technically your insurance wouldn't qualify for your loan. So what Citizens is coming is basically a stopgap to kind of allow these carriers to continue to exist, so that way you don't have 200,000 rewrites all in the same time.
Well, they were saying there were 17 property insurance companies that were
Right.
looking to potentially be downgraded.
Now,
So
you
it's
have
a
to put
pretty
that
big number.
in that perspective because there's only about 30 to 40 carriers in total that would even play in Florida, so you're talking about almost half.
You are talking to almost half.
Probably
Now,
more than half. Is there even 30?
No, there's
surprised me.
there was about probably starting. There's about 50, but that number has reduced over the past year and a half.
Substantially.
So I would say 40 to 45 is an accurate number.
But Adam, let me ask you this: with the law that went into effect recently, where citizens can, if they run out of money, tack on fees onto everyone's policy in the state.
That's not a new thing, but
aren't they basically doing that anyway? Aren't they basically just saying they're basically behind the scenes underwriting
the entire state?
Yeah. Through that as a loophole?
So no, because that is really to make sure that's like the guarantee that citizens will be able to pay all their funds. But what they're doing now with this new thing would be yes. That's kind of what they're going on. Now what Leo is referring to is if you have, and this applies to everybody, not just people that are with citizens, but the way it works with citizens, the way they can guarantee that they can pay all of their claims is there's a potential for an assessment. And the first round of assessment would go to all of their policyholders, and it could be up to 40% of your premium. So if you have a $2,000 policy, that's an $800 assessment.
So that's what I tell people. Think about what you're doing, right? It's no different than totaling your car or driving like a you-know-what, and you keep making claims. Guess what? You're going to pay for it.
You are.
No. This isn't you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for this is the socialism. This is why I call them the people's insurance. That you're paying for your neighbor who's driving like a maniac.
This would be catastrophic situations anyways.
And the point is, like, by all these roof claims, right, that continuing to happen, it affects everybody. It affects everybody.
And if you want to stop the roof claims, you've got to attack the climate. If you want to attack the climate, we need white roofs to increase the solar reflectivity to take the place of the melted ice caps.
I'm going to lasso this back in. I'm going to lasso this back into the assessment. Okay, so the first round would go to all of citizens' policyholders. The next round, and I'd have to look it up, it's a small percentage, but it's still a percentage, would be to everybody that's not a citizens policyholder. And then the third round would be to everybody, citizens and non-citizens.
Wait. How can you assess it to someone that's not a citizens policyholder?
Because that is the law to insure homes in the state of Florida.
I've been calling them the people's insurance for years.
How?
Do they tack on a premium to
do I have to understand?
Yeah, you'd get an invoice. You'd just get an invoice.
Do I have to explain socialism to you?
Here's your Florida State
don't have to
Guarantee
explain
Fund
socialism to me.
assessment.
It's socialism.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just telling you I didn't realize I could do that.
I need a roof, and I'm getting 5 estimates this next week.
Okay.
Next time I come on, I'm going to report how many of those 5 told me to do an insurance claim.
Okay.
And I will disclose who they were.
I don't know if I want to take that life. I don't know if I'm going to name.
What color are you going to go with the shingles? You going with a light color shingle? You going with a dark color shingle?
Light gray.
Light gray.
So listen, I know you preach white. It's not going to happen, but light helps, doesn't it?
Okay, so I would say, and I was deposed earlier this week on this very topic. So you have shingles, which are basically like putting a road on your roof. It's asphalt. It absorbs heat. It absorbs a lot of heat.
And if you've stepped on that with these temperatures lately, you realize how hot it is.
The granules come right off.
You've stepped on it with bare feet.
So normally I'm anti-tile roof, but if you got to choose between shingle and tile, at least tile is a porous material. It absorbs heat, it reflects heat, and it's got some air gaps between where the tiles meet the roof decking. So you've got some air and some insulation there.
What about metal?
Metal's the best. Metal is the best. It's going to have the highest reflectivity. It's actually it's becoming cheaper and cheaper to make metal.
Does the color matter?
Color matters, because what I keep talking about is solar reflectivity. You want the sunlight to hit your roof and bounce off. It does not happen with shingle roofs. Lighter color might help decrease your energy bills. See, when we're involved in HOA projects where they take their tile roofs and go to shingle because of price, every single unit owner complains that their electric bills have gone up 30+%.
I bet.
So
there are a ton of 55 and up developments with white roofs.
Yes, I mean,
and they're ingenious. And you go in the houses, and they don't even run the air conditioning, and they're all cold.
So think about this from 2 standpoints. One, the white roof would help reduce your energy costs, which also helps put a lesser impact on the environment. Yep. And the reflectivity from that white roof will help save the environment.
All right. That makes sense. Let's go back to insurance.
Okay, back to insurance.
So,
because there's other effects that are going to come from this.
this article, so it talks about this little basically saying, listen, we'll step in and help in the interim. So they're saying that they formed this program that meets the exceptions to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines, what Leo was saying, and the OIR statement
Office of Insurance
reads,
Regulation.
Thank you. That there will be no reason for lenders to require replacement policy or forced place coverage solely based on the rating or downgrade. So Florida Insurance Guarantee Association would remain responsible for paying the claims for any insolvent carriers going forward up to the statutory limit, but the Office of Insurance plans to appear to let Citizens cover the liabilities above the FIGA limits. What's FIGA? FIGA? Florida Insurance Guarantee Association.
There you
That's
go.
what it is.
Yeah. Now, the other side that's going to be a problem with this, and we can talk more when we come back, but what you're going to see is the carriers that do still maintain a good rating are going to be so narrow on what they'll accept that unless your home is brand new or
That's what I've seen. Yeah,
pretty much brand
2022.
new, like you're going to be
Or-
Citizens or bust.
Or they might want to intentionally downgrade to make more profits.
I wouldn't think that would be a very prudent decision from a financial standpoint.
So what happened to the legislation that was on the table saying that they were going to depreciate based on the roof? Didn't that go in?
No, that didn't pass.
That didn't pass. All they did was
Talking about the ACV roof schedule.
I thought
we
it
can dive in
was.
more when we
Yeah,
come back.
that didn't pass.
813-377-2775. Text insurance. I'll hopefully make your
That's
day
the solution.
less sad. 813-377-2775.
That's the solution. Upon renewal, you just put it in there. All right.
But what
so it's
in
Tampa
there?
Home Talk.
We can talk
We'll be
about.
back.
We can talk when
I'll
we
tell you
come
when we
back.
come back.
813-377-2775.
Well, welcome back to Tampa Home Talk, and I have got the volume turned down on the radio ranch for Katrina.
Oh, wow.
Just because the characters are all talking at the same time, and I got to jump in there with a question. You guys ready for this?
Fire
Ready?
away.
Are we potted up?
Yes, you're potted up now. So this is going to go to Adam. Adam, yesterday I receive all kinds of spam calls and things, and yesterday I received a call with someone's name on it. And they identified themselves and then said, I'm with Citizens,
Okay.
and we would like to, or I would like to come by your house and take some pictures. I've had Citizens for about 10 years,
Yes.
maybe longer. And all of a sudden I'm getting this call that he said, you can call Citizens and make sure that, this is correct, that I have to be here. But I know that this has happened before because my mother-in-law had this in Town and Country, and they came by and checked on her house also. He said, I just got to take pictures of the bathroom, the kitchen. I want to take the fuse box. I want to take pictures of your AC.
They're basically doing a four-point inspection. Yeah. So, you have to let them do
You have
that
to
because if you
cooperate.
don't, they will cancel you. And
That's
I've,
a good question, Pat.
It is a good question, and I've even seen it like. So let's back up. I even see it on some that I've just written that have a 4-point inspection already submitted. So
They're checking
even
it.
they're
They're
even
verifying it.
re-verifying that, and it's not just a Citizens thing. Just so you know, every carrier reserves the right to inspect your property, whether you submit a 4-point or not. It's not all of a
because
sudden.
everything that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we might not even be in this situation if most carriers re-inspected every 3 to 5 years, because you get a lot of people that do deferred maintenance, things happen, and then they just, like, if you don't give a crap, then, your house is going to fall apart, and it could result in a claim. So we would be in a better spot if more carriers did this regularly.
And I'm a huge fan of...
My mother-in-law failed. She failed because she had aluminum wiring.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of these inspections.
Gotta go to Leo.
Okay, when was your home built?
You can send us to Leo, but
Yeah,
you gotta have a.
when was your home
electrician.
built?
About 1976,
Oh.
77.
Well,
Chances.
There's a
Yeah.
chance.
There's a chance,
There's a
yeah.
chance. That's right when the aluminum wiring is.
Is your box original?
Standard Pacific.
Yes.
What's the name on that box?
Acme. I don't know.
Okay.
So,
Probably is
so
a
basically,
Sylvania
I am a
panel.
huge fan of these inspections. And if you have one of these inspections, make sure you request a copy of the report. Because
Yes.
if we do have a catastrophic wind event and you do need to file a claim afterwards, we are using these reports to help support the claims.
Yes.
Very
And
I've been
it,
in my box before, and I can see it's copper wiring. I've been in that box. It
Okay.
does look aluminum.
and it sounds like you'll be okay. Now, just look at it as a free inspection of your home, to where you can then, make improvements. Like if you have aluminum wiring and you don't want to, have a house fire, it's probably a good opportunity to find out if you do, and you can replace it.
Okay, great.
So that's how I look at it. It's
Yeah.
positive.
So Adam and Leo both think that this is a positive thing. Just make sure you get a copy of the report.
Yes. And
All
you can
right.
request that.
So what did you want to finish on? Because we still have to get to Tom and Danielle.
Oh, the only
the
thing I wanted to
guests.
finish on, the real guess. The only thing I wanted to finish on was, if you have a quote out there right now, bind it. Just because we've seen carriers that are changing their underwriting guidelines and they're not honoring quotes that have already,
Not by the day, by the hour, right?
exactly. So we have one that I've written 10 policies with them this week because we got word that starting tomorrow,
We're not doing it.
22 or newer.
Ew,
Or
I
not
saw
newer,
that.
22, because there's
Is that
nothing newer than a
Southern?
22.
Is that Southern whatever?
It's Southern Oak. Now, they're a good carrier. They're not going to be on the list. They're doing this to make sure they never end up on a list.
Yeah.
And I think what you'll see is...
But geez, whose home is 2022 or newer? It's definitely not Leo.
Well, so this is how I look at it, too. I feel like that's a short-term thing because they don't want to be caught. So we had a
In the
couple
process.
carriers that already went out of business, right? And they weren't very big ones. Like we had maybe 20 to 30 policies a piece with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to rewrite them. But you got to multiply that by the tens of thousands of agents that are in the state of Florida. So they can't handle the volume. They can't handle the influx. They can't underwrite it appropriately. So that's just a way to turn the faucet off. Right, we don't have to underwrite a 22 house because it's brand new. That's a home warranty if something happens, unless a tree falls into it. But
it's a lot less risk.
a lot less risk. So
High risk of the tree falling, depending because new trees don't have proper
They
roots.
chop
they're also
down
not
all
big
the
enough
trees.
to
These
get
trees
to
aren't
the-
even as tall as your car.
yeah. So, but anyways, the point is they're turning the faucet off. So that way, if we have 17 carriers that are downgraded in a short amount of time, they're not getting an influx of adverse selection on policies. So I would assume that that's not going to be a forever thing. That is a for right now thing. And then maybe next year sometime when there's more stability, we'll be fine.
So on your site, Tom, are you seeing any, is this affecting commercial real estate at all? Like this whole insurance thing?
No, not
You're not
that
seeing
I've
them
seen,
much?
no.
Or not yet?
We're seeing it hurt on the residential side. The insurance companies are telling people that they have to replace their roofs before they even make
Yeah,
25
yeah.
years.
That's
Some of these
15
people that
years.
have 50-year roofs and they're getting pushback to replace a 50-year roof after 15 years. So there are people that have actually, because
the-
they're naive,
the 50-year
they're putting
roof-
their houses up for sale and saying, I'll just go rent.
But it doesn't actually last 50 years, right, Leo?
No.
It just doesn't. Not here in Florida. It does not.
Depends. The Tile Roofing Institute says a tile roof will last 50 to 100 years. I see.
Workmanship
That's your probably should
is the
call.
problem.
Nope.
No?
Nope. It is storm
It's the
debris.
the sun,
It is not.
too.
It is not the storm itself. It is debris against these tile roofs.
So Adam, is it? I've heard 3 years and I've heard 5 years that the policy that the roof has to have a left. A roofer has to come certify.
For citizens, it's 3 or more.
And most
They're the only
carriers,
other.
5?
They're the only ones that look at that. The others, it's pass fail.
Oh, okay.
That's
Thanks for
new.
clarifying that.
That's new. They were always going with 3 or more for
That's what
the
I
other.
3 or
thought.
more, but nobody when you're looking at these other carriers, they're not writing a roof that's old enough that it would be questionable anyways. Does that make sense? So it's not. It
Yeah.
doesn't really. These other carriers don't care. Citizens are the ones that's kind of the catch-all.
Well, I mean, it would make sense.
And they
to
want
get
3 or more.
It
We
would
don't-
make sense to get a roof certification,
But
right?
the-
Because if you go there, Leo, and you certify the roof, or the roofer, or whoever says it has 3 years or more, I mean, you do a lot of these expert
Here's the problem.
things in trial. If someone says it does and then it doesn't, and you can clearly prove that, you got an issue.
Here's the problem. I've been submitting 4 points on new purchases. 5 years left, no issue with the 4 point. Citizens look up, some arbitrary underwriter looks at it. We need to have that roof replaced. There's,
They don't like something on it.
buildup or whatever. It's worn in this area.
Can I give a PSA here?
Sure.
If you're going to put a new roof on your house, for God's sakes, pull the permit.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
God! Please
Yeah.
don't not pull
Yeah.
a permit. Oh, we see this so much. I just had one not too long ago that they did the roof didn't pull a permit, and I'm like, well, you didn't do the roof. Like, as far as a buyer, an insurance company, or anybody's concerned, you have an old roof.
Yep.
Whatever the last one is a record.
Have fun with citizens.
So
Yeah,
on the commercial side, Tom, there are no 4 points though, right?
Correct.
So that makes it easier to get insurance.
But the insurance
Not
rates are
necessarily.
extremely high.
Yeah.
And depending on the location and the zip code.
The rates are up. We're not getting you're not getting a lot of options. And property on commercial has been mostly E&S anyways. And when I say E&S, that's excess and surplus lines. It's Lloyd's of London. So unless
that
it's a
who I
newer
have?
building, no. For yours?
Yeah. Because it's an older building. I don't think.
No,
it's got a new roof.
that's who you have.
I have Lloyd's of London.
Yes.
Oh, what
And I'm not
They
You're
saying
talking
insure-
about for ham hocks.
They
Yeah.
insure the specialty
Yeah.
things, like, if you're a pianist and you lose your pinky, they'll be a good carrier to.
Well, so in it's you don't have an option really when it comes to these commercial markets.
last
Like it's
result.
just it is what it is.
Last
So
resort.
you're,
Whatever's
and
available.
you're finding a better rate sometimes. The thing is we don't have a lot of standard commercial carriers that are writing wind. So yeah, maybe I could write you with Liberty Mutual or Nationwide, but they're not going to write wind, so they're going to have a wind policy with Lloyd's anyways. So it doesn't really make sense.
Does that make sense financially in terms of numbers or no?
No.
No.
Just asking.
No, it's rated about the same.
So Danielle, what are you seeing in the appraisal market? Like, how are you still like hair on fire too? Like, we're busy. I don't think everyone else is busy.
We're busy enough. We're seeing a lot of private orders though. Like the shift is in. We're slammed with divorce work, slammed
Really?
with litigation, and
Good problem to have.
and the aspect of the pre-listing appraisals that are coming on our desk, I hate to even say this to you, but there are a lot of sellers that are trying. They're back to selling it on their own.
They could be until
And-
they don't. And then
Well,
they'll leave
the
us.
the problem is that they're still overpricing, and where the agents are reducing and actually getting closings to happen, the for sale by owners are just still out there rogue, don't know
Yeah.
what they're doing, and they're trying to get a bidding war from brokers, and these brokers are just turning the world into Airbnbs. And
Yeah.
so then they're also trying to sell properties in areas that Airbnbs aren't even legal. And
Like where?
like down in Clearwater.
Yeah.
You can't successfully run an Airbnb in Clearwater. You might get away with it for a year, but you're not getting away with it forever. Now these sellers are actually advertising these properties as Airbnbs, and the appraiser showing up going, this will never happen.
Well, they look for that. Like the state is looking
The
for that.
state
for their
is
revenue.
cracking
Yeah,
down. They want their
money.
piece. They want their piece. If you want an Airbnb, go up to Hernando County, go to Hudson. Other than that, it's not going to be something that you enjoy for long term.
What about Newport Richie? Are they allowing theirs?
Newport Richie is allowing it, but I'll tell you, downtown Newport Richie, you need a rental permit to rent a house.
Really?
So it might as well be living in an HOA. You might as I get a
Wait, you need a
tag.
permit every time you.
I have a
rent?
tag on my house every month. Every single month. One was the landlord didn't have a rent permit. Didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't either. Did you?
The
there's
second
some
one
places.
was for a piece of rust the size of a quarter on the awning. They made them paint the whole front of the house.
All right.
The mailbox was
Askew.
Newport
not
Richie is trying to clean
level.
house, aren't they? They really are. They're
The
cleaning
houses
up.
are $300,000 down there. There's no more cleaning house. It's as clean as it's ever going to
Well,
get.
it used to be yucky, but they.
Well, it's never
I mean,
going
if
to
they-
be anything better than it is today. I can promise you.
I don't know.
It's
know about
really
that.
come a long way, and it's very gentrified. It's completely gentrified
Yeah.
down there. There are so few and far between. There are bad spots, but it's one
So-
street here, one street there.
So what do you? So are your orders as it relates to mortgages slowing down?
And some, yes, but remember, REO work is coming back.
Yeah,
So
coming
if we're not doing lending and purchasing, we're just doing bank-owned foreclosures. That
Okay.
we're still working.
Well, when we come back, we're going to wrap up the final segment with Tom and Danielle. You guys can plug or chat whatever you brought for the rest of your agenda, because just as fast as 3/4 of the hour went, the last segment will go too. But if you got questions for myself, any of our guests, my favorite sidekicks, 813-377-2775, you can call or text us. And we're happy to get you the resources you need. You could be a roofer. We're happy to help. 813-377-2775, and that's our off-air number. You can call or text that anytime you like. 813-377-2775. 2775. This is Tampa Home Talk. We'll be right back after this break. Stick around.
Welcome home, Tampa Home Talk, 813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775 for all your commercial, residential, real estate needs, appraisal needs,
Adam's already flown like the wind.
insurance needs, no more.
All right. Well, hop in there, Tom.
All right.
We missed you.
Well, thank you.
What you got?
People ask me a lot, why do businesses fail and what percentage of businesses fail?
Okay. It's high,
Good
right, in the
que-
first 5 years?
So you have to define the segment?
You would, what's that?
Would you have to define the segment? I mean, restaurants are more likely to fail than, let's say, coin laundromat.
Big time.
Yeah, because
However,
people are waiting in line to buy those suckers.
the number's really low. The first year, 20%. And I would think it'd be a lot higher than that. By year 5, 50% of businesses fail. And by year 10, 70% of businesses fail. Here's a fun fact, though. Real estate agents, 4% make it 10 years.
Is that high?
But it's so competitive. What is
No.
there, 27,000 agents in Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I was thinking that high. I mean, I would be surprised if 4% survived the first year.
There's 160,000 agents in this state.
Well, I'm
know.
happy to have made my
160,000.
longevity. I guess I'm
Thousand.
definitely- I'm the top 1%. I didn't even talk
Oh,
about that, but I
absolutely.
made the, I
Hey,
can't think of
You're a
the name
one
of it.
percenter?
Yep.
Nice. That would explain the
I
Tesla
would
you
expect
drive.
nothing less of you, Katrina.
Listen, I work. I live beyond my means. I drove my Prius until I couldn't drive anymore. Then I bought the car I wanted.
So, what businesses are more likely to fail than others?
Restaurants,
Number one.
But the question is why? And number one is lack of capital.
Say no plan.
That's number two.
Okay.
Lack of capital is number one. They don't have the money to support until they make it. Number two,
Well, there's SBA loans for that. If you start with a plan, you should be all right.
not everybody gets one.
Yeah, not
And then
everyone
number
can get
two,
one of those.
lack of a strong business plan. And then number three is poor management. You can be a really great chef and not know how to run a restaurant.
Absolutely.
You see it all the time.
Isn't your business plan basically your menu? Here's our offering.
No.
Well, restaurants are a little bit different, yes.
But I mean, in any business, you've got to break down a lot of metrics. You've got to measure a lot of stuff. So you need to know where your customers are coming from, how many are coming in.
Logistics
are any of them
is
reporting.
tough because like food spoils.
Well, here's another one.
It is, but if you've got food that's going to spoil, wouldn't you? If I'm just thinking like, and I've never been a restaurant owner, but I know how to think like a business person. So if I have, going back to your place or your thought process, food spoils. If you have food, that's going to go bad and you know what the shelf life is, right? In 2 or 3 days, I would go around all those other businesses and give them a promotional offering to get them in there because you need to sell that food even at a discounted rate. Or you're going to have to throw it away, and that's a straight up
Yeah, but if
business
you
model.
offer too many discounts, people are going to want those discounts, and they're only going to shop at your restaurant when they know they can get cheaper
But
food.
it's your job to get them in there and do a bang-up job so they want to come back. It's your job.
My mom owned breakfast and lunch restaurants my whole life. And everybody said, why do you only do fish fry on Friday?
So
It's
you
to get
can
rid of
put
all the
some-
food before it goes bad.
Okay, yeah.
We were only open one night a week.
Okay.
And the reason for that was to literally clean out the refrigerators.
Really?
And
But it's a
nobody knew.
strategic plan.
And nobody knew we were unloading food that was going to spoil the next day for a discounted price.
Well, and think about it. Like if you're a restaurant owner and you've got this extra stuff and you have regular patrons that are in your restaurant, what would you do? Me as the business owner, I would
Discount it
say,
to get rid of it.
Well, here's some extra stuff. Thanks for coming in, right?
Yeah.
If you got to throw it away anyway and they don't know that, make them feel special. Like you just gave them something and you recognize them being a regular customer and you value their business.
It's also these restaurants that have gigantic salads. People forget you're catching the eye. and a lot of the salad is just fluff. People think they're getting something for nothing when their meal is larger, but a lot of the times it's to actually turn the food over.
Yeah,
That's the
makes sense.
purpose of it.
I would never own a restaurant. I sell them, but I would never own one. It's a hard business, and COVID killed
Definitely.
a lot of restaurants.
Yeah.
True.
And now food costs are going up so much. Food costs were typically 30-32%. Now
They're
we're seeing
over
closer to,
50,
you know,
right?
45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's
depending on
funny
what
is
it
my
And depending on where it is, like I'm from Massachusetts, so the food costs in Massachusetts are almost 68% right
Wow.
now.
That's crazy.
And my mom's like, well, I'm done. We're back into dog grooming forever.
You know, inflation is so high when your 19-year-old son that works at a barbecue restaurant starts talking about the cost of food because he's talked about it with the owner, and you just talked about how much the cost of chicken was. Like, that's how you know inflation is like upswing quick.
My mom actually got out of the restaurant business in the tomato debacle of like, what was that, 2007?
Oh, I remember that.
When tomatoes doubled. You went to Wendy's and
remember that.
tomatoes weren't on the menu unless you asked for them. That was when we closed up shop in restaurant world and said never again. We were strictly breakfast and
I
lunch
didn't realize tomatoes
restaurants.
would have that big of an impact.
Absolutely. It was at the time that we closed the restaurant, it was the most expensive product in the restaurant, and tomatoes were on everything, and it was crippling our business over tomatoes.
I remember that. There was a salsa scare of 2008.
That's right,
I don't
2008.
like tomatoes, so it wouldn't impact my world. But
Yep.
They're acidic, they're sweet, they're fruit, they're on everything.
I don't eat 'em. I don't like them. All right, what else you got there, Tom?
Businesses that have been around a long time, why do they fail? Well, number one, competition, technology, and again, back to poor management.
They don't reinvent themselves.
Granddad was a genius, started a manufacturing business, and then Granddad passed it down to their son or daughter, and then they pass it down to their son and daughter. At that stage, the smarts left the gene pool,
Yeah.
and now they run it into the ground. That's good for me because I have private equity groups for these larger companies. I've got one right now. It's up in Ohio. Manufacturing, they manufacture auto parts. It sold about 5 years ago for $20 million. They did $30 million a year in sales, and the owner made about $6.5 to $7 million profit.
Wow.
It went into receivership with the new business. The bank liquidated it and sold it as an asset sale for $2 million to this German
That's a
group.
deal for someone.
Now this German group, they put the wrong people in the wrong space. They hired the wrong key people. That's going south. And now I'm trying to take that to private equity who specializes in distressed property or distressed businesses. Now they'll take it and buy it. They use university endowment money. They invest it, and then they bring their people in, and then they flip it for like an 800% profit.
Are you seeing businesses like that? Like buy
800%. That's a very specific, very high number.
Yeah.
That's their model, and
That's
it
their
works.
goal. Yeah.
Nice.
Are you seeing distressed businesses sales yet, or not so much?
I do. And again, it comes down to, the technology, not keeping up with it, and mostly poor management.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if we didn't adapt to technology, we would have been long left behind too. But then again,
did you know that Wells Fargo is currently recruiting appraisers for
I
bank-owned
believe that.
properties
All right.
and asset management? 2008's on the horizon.
Well, this is Tampa Home Talk. We've had so much fun with you guys. We'll have another great show lined up for you next week. And remember, love where you live, or we're going to fix it. Welcome home.
Make sure you hit the smash, the like, and subscribe button. Welcome to Season 9 of Tampa Home Talk.
Have a great weekend.
Season 9.